In today's video, we're going to show you 3 ways, 3 musts really, to help you hit, 3 musts really, to help you hit not only longer drives, but far more accurate drives, which if you're going to walk a long ways, you might as well walk down the middle of the fairway. You're going to hit the ball closer from there and score lower. Shaun, so we can boil these 3 things down into club, body, and face. The first of is swing plane, right? We want this club moving on a pretty reliable path around the body. And there's a lot of misconceptions about what swing plane is, and more importantly, about what swing plane looks like. Because you will see, if you watch any telecast or watch any YouTube video, you will see a golf swing shot from an infinite number of camera angles that you literally cannot see the swing plane from. We're gonna show you in gears what that actually looks like, show you how well these guys do swing on plane. But first, let's talk about why swing plane is important.
Yeah, you know, I think as you get to making the full swing and trying to hit the ball accurately, most people struggle because they're always shifting this thing around.
Yeah.
Right? It's either out and over, or it's in, up, and over, and it might change from swing to swing. They just never get on any consistent line, which makes it difficult to hit the center of the face and get any kind of club head speed or accuracy.
That's exactly right. You can make the golf swing harder, or you can make it easier. You can make it more timing dependent, or you can make it less timing dependent. And how you move the club around a given kind of angle will really simplify the golf swing. And that's one of the things that we're going to show you when we hop into gears and really kind of dial in what that swing plane looks like. And then the drills show you how to do it. Now, the next thing is the body. So let's talk about this, because this is a big one for a lot of golfers.
Yeah, so this is the fingerprint.
Yes.
So basically, what this means is when you start making a pivot, and let's say I'm against the wall right here, you don't want to have yourself pushing way back or standing up or anything like that as it comes to moving your backside here against the wall, right? You should almost feel like you're making a fingerprint along that. And when you do that, it allows your upper body to work correctly, it allows your arms to work correctly, and again, that helps put the arms and the club on a plane that's consistent.
Absolutely right. And we talked about this in one of our recent pros versus AMs video about the early extension and thrusting of the hips. So in today's video, we're going to really start to show you how to correct that with one of the drills. Now, the final piece of the puzzle. So we got club, we got body. Now let's talk about the CEO of the golf swing.
Yeah, that's the club face, right?
Yep.
So all bets are off if you're not able to deliver a square club face to the ball.
Right. You will change everything else to make that happen.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of that has to do with how you grip the club, right?
Yep.
We talked to Tom Kite came in here the other day and took a lesson from Mike and I. And I thought one of the interesting things that he said was that he never had to think about his club face control because Harvey Pennant gave him a good grip, right?
Yeah.
So if you're struggling with club face control, let's break it down to the least common denominator. Do you have a solid grip on the club? And we've got a lot of videos about that, right?
Yep. So we're gonna show you how to put the hands on correctly, and then we're gonna give you something to do that will guarantee that you're training that club face awareness. Because thinking about the club face as it's coming through the shot, you're not going to be able to do, right? It's just
yeah. You might have a general feel about releasing or holding off, but
you're not going to make a correction, an actual subconscious maybe, but not trying to. Okay, I'm square, then I can let it go. Like it's got to be happening. It's pretty fast.
Your best bet is to have a decent grip, swing the club on plane with a good pivot.
The body moving out of the way.
Yeah, and get the club moving on this kind of arc that's around the body, right? And you have a real good chance of playing some good golf and hitting the ball straight.
And we're going to show you feedback for that club face that will be invaluable for you getting that awareness. All right, let's jump into gears, see what should happen. We use swing planes every day in our lessons, both online and in person. It's an invaluable reference to use when working on your swing because certain parts of the swing are very planar when done well. If, and it's a big if, you know how to use it properly. And that's what we're going to look at here. Let's first point out that the swing plane is 3-dimensional, as you can see here on the right. And if you position your camera correctly, you can see this 3-dimensional plane as a very handy 2-dimensional line. So this video of DJ was shot from a very useful camera angle when talking about swing plane. Useful because you can very closely get a good plane reference when the camera is positioned at hands height, right behind the hands like you see here. The only thing that would make this video even better is if it was shot on a tripod, but the tour typically frowns on bringing tripods to events. Our other tour winner here on the right is recorded from a perfect, down-the-line, parallax-free camera angle. Notice how similar DJ's real-world video is from our perfect 8-camera captured down-the-line view. From this angle, you can truly see how shallow or steep the club moves throughout the swing. If you're used to shooting your swing with the camera higher, like most every video you're going to see online, this view can be quite a shock to the system. Think of it like the movie The Matrix.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
If you want to see how on plane your swing really is, choose the red pill and set up your camera like this. Now here's an angle you're probably most familiar with. Shooting from this angle is perfectly fine when you're showing a shot being hit. It's the angle you'll see most often used in TV telecast. But if you're looking to see how your swing relates to the swing plane, it's not going to give you a very accurate view of what you're actually doing. So we're going to stick with DJ here on the left and our same pro, same exact swing here on the right. We'll also position our blue plane lines the same way we did in the first two videos, which is from the heel of the club up through the elbow. As these guys move, notice how much shallower and underplane their swings appear. Appear being the operative word. When the camera is placed up near the chest or shoulders, the camera is positioned to look down on the swing plane rather than through it. This makes the swing look more shallow than it actually is. Then if you compound that by moving the camera more towards the ball line or the target line, the appearance becomes even more exaggerated. We call this the online beauty filter for golf swings. So if you instantly want to shallow your club, all you have to do is raise the camera and/or move it out towards the ball. So let's take a look at both of DJ's swings side by side. And we took the time to perfectly sync these up so both swings are moving through the same positions at exactly the same time. Notice how drastically different these swings look relative to the plane and how drastically different these benchmark positions look. Now let's look at the same thing with our Gears Pro here. You're looking at exactly the same swing, the only difference being from, again, two different camera angles. And again, the result's the same. With the angle on the left, you're seeing a true representation of the swing plane and the golfer's movements relative to that plane. With the swing on the right, you're not able to see the plane, and you're getting a much more distorted perspective of what the golfer is doing. Working on your own golf swing is difficult enough. Doing it without a proper reference, like the swing plane here, and a distorted perspective significantly compounds that difficulty. If you're going to take the time to record your swings, and we highly recommend you do so, take the extra 10 to 15 seconds to make sure you're getting the most accurate view of your swing so you can see exactly what it is you're actually doing. Now this might be the best visual we've seen for helping golfers fix one of the most common issues in the golf swing. If you've ever been fingerprinted, you're already familiar with the correct hip movements that should take place throughout the golf swing. In this case, our pro is using a pane of glass as the paper, and he's going to use his butt as the fingerprint. He starts by rolling his fingerprint to the right, making a clean imprint on the glass in the backswing. If you've seen our Pros vs. AMs video on hip rotation and thrust, you'll remember this is where most golfers will completely lose contact with the glass and never regain it. So as our pro recenters, he's transitioning by rolling his fingerprint, his butt, from his right cheek over to his left cheek, just exactly like you would do if you were doing a fingerprint. And from here through impact, notice that he's not trying to keep his butt back. He's not trying to keep both cheeks on the glass. He's extending his butt under his hips as he rolls his left cheek around, keeping his fingerprint in contact with the glass. The hips need to extend in the downswing. Every great player does it. You just don't want to do that extending out towards the golf ball. That's the move that'll cause you trouble. Whether it's Dustin Johnson, who we just saw a few minutes ago, or Ben Hogan, or any other great player you can think of, all of them, every one of them, opens the club in the backswing and closes it in the downswing. The difference, however, between the great players and everyone else is when that happens. We want to show you a reference point in the swing we use to help diagnose club faces all the time during lessons. And we'll walk you through it here. So step one is record your golf swing from the good camera angle we just talked about. Step two is to scroll yourself to the downswing, the point where your club head is laying on your back like you're seeing here. What you want to look for is where is that leading edge of your club face. Neutral would be a leading edge that's vertical. Closed would be the leading edge leaning forward. Open would be leaning backwards. Now, there's a small window of acceptability here depending on your shot shape and your shot preference, but shoot for a vertical or neutral club face here. If your face isn't vertical, start by rewinding your swing, looking for the best opportunity to get it to neutral. What you don't want to do here is try to sort it out on the way to the ball. There's not enough time from here down to the ball. Look earlier in the swing when the club is moving much slower. That's where you'll have the most success making the necessary adjustments.
All right, Shaun, the first thing we're going to do is train this swing plane. Now, this is going to look much different. We left our cameras set up for the video because we're going to show you how different actual swing plane looks. So if you saw in the Gears video of where you need to position the camera to see the actual swing plane, these cameras aren't positioned, that's why they look different. So you've got to be careful when you're looking at stuff online and understand that you're not looking down the swing plane. But we've got our alignment stick on the ground. This is our target line. We got it a foot inside the golf ball. Then we've got our back end of the plane and our front end of the plane. So Shaun's going to stand in there and get a feel for where these two things are as he's just wheeling the club around them.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to kind of get a general sense to match the plane. Now, you're going to be above the plane because when your elbow folds, it elevates the plane up. But you're trying to be basically parallel to it or parallel to the target line. That's
Right, you
just
should
a
be
good
roughly a foot
guideline.
above the plane.
Yeah, that gives you just a general guideline, right?
Yep.
As you go back and through. And even on the other side, a lot of you are guilty of probably going under this one.
Yep.
And I know I would probably tend to get this way when I'm
Exactly
hitting
right.
blocks and hooks. So it gives me a great way to sense where my swing plane is.
And if that's difficult to even feel and kind of rehearse, like make some swings without a ball first. And let's
Yeah.
just do that.
Yeah.
So let's just go through some dry runs here. Do
Yeah.
any of those feel like they're in the way?
No, these are pretty good right now. So
Okay.
I think I could manage this. Yeah.
All right, so when that starts to become normal to you and you're not worried about clipping the tees, and you put your ball back down about a foot in front.
Yeah.
Now again, we're going to go slow and make sure we're getting the feedback that we want.
Yeah, I'm gonna chip one out there just to get a feel for it.
Good.
And if you hit it in the middle of the face with a decent grip, the ball should go pretty straight.
Right, so the more you can familiarize yourself inside of this swing plane, right? And we don't like training aids that force you to do something. Shaun had to provide all the movements there, and that's the best way to learn it. Now we can start, once that gets to be familiar to you and you get really good at that, now we'll start adding in the body piece. All right, so now we got this swing moving more on plane, right? Now we're going to start to fingerprint the glass. And if you saw a pros versus ams video, you can see what we're talking about. Shaun, let's first talk about how far off the glass we need to be.
Yeah, so about a club width here with your heels,
Okay?
right? That gives you just enough distance from the glass here. So when you take your setup, you'll end up being about a finger's width to start with.
Yep, so you want to stay off the glass to start with.
Yeah. And then the trick here is as you start making your backswing, you should move a little closer to it here.
Yep.
And not by just pushing your rear end back, because you really shouldn't need to. Your hips are shaped like an oval. And if I turn them correctly, this side will get slightly deeper and start kind of brushing this a little bit.
Right, so if I'm looking down on a hip, we'll say this is right hip, this is left hip, I'll hold the center of the hips. It should move like this, right? So that right hip, just from turning linearly, this hip should get deeper.
Yeah, because it's at an angle.
Right, we don't want to turn this way. That's what 99% of the golfers do.
If you can see, from this angle and I turn, this side gets higher and more in.
Exactly right.
Just pretty basic motion, but what a lot of you tend to do is turn it underneath too much, and that's the kiss of death because that leads to the early extension.
That's early extension, which just starts in the backswing.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that's where the fingerprint starts, right?
Yeah. So starts there. I make it on the backswing. I'm putting both sides of my rear end on the glass.
Roughly
down.
left arm parallel.
Yeah, and then through the ball on my left side, and the right side comes off slightly. And then in the finish, they would both come off.
Yep.
But that gives you some stability in the pelvis motion, right? Which controls the rest of the swing as you move up the chain and finally get to the club.
Right, so you can do this indoors without a club. It's the best place to learn the
great.
movements first. Then when you go outdoors, get your playing station set up and put something back here, an alignment stick, an umbrella, something, golf bag, anything that'll let you know kind of where that quote unquote wall is, so you can start to fingerprint your swing as you're moving on plane. And now we'll come back with a face trim. All right, so now for the face angle, the final piece that kind of makes the ball go where we want it to go. We've got dead on our alignment, or on our target line, an alignment stick that's angled just slightly away from Shaun, okay? This will be straight up, it's angled back because you are gonna hit this, and you want it to deflect rather than shatter the stick. And we put a pool noodle on it just so you can see it. Shaun's gonna set up, and again, you can do this with lob wedge all the way through driver. It's about 6 feet in front of him, and he's gonna train missing it on one side of that stick or the other.
Yeah, so if I left the face too open, it would go to the right. If I over closed it, it would go to the left.
Right, you gotta know first what shot shape you wanna play. So Shaun wants to hit what?
Just pretty straight, slight fade.
Okay, so we're gonna start this on just the left side of that stick. That's all we're gonna work on right now, just making sure that ball starts left of that stick.
I'm just gonna chip it out there. So I
Okay.
know I have to aim slightly left to do this. I'm just gonna make a good motion here. Just start it left and just get some shape on it.
Yep.
And it came back.
And as you get comfortable with that, the speed starts to increase. And then when you really want to start to dial that in, you put another stick up and create a goalpost. So Shaun now, to hit his tight little fade, wants to put every ball between this goalpost.
Yeah, I don't want to cheat it too much by going way over to the
That's
left.
exactly right. Because that's what you'll do at first is you'll just, okay, I'm going to miss it and I'll hit it a foot off the stick. So once you get comfortable doing it every time, we like to use the 80-20 rule. If you can miss this stick 80% of the time, add another stick down and start to rein that in. You'll be amazed at how quickly you start tuning up where this points, really without thinking about it.
Yeah, and
Just
then,
from having that feedback.
and last but not least, we referred to this earlier, but make sure you watch our grip videos.
Right.
You got to have a decent grip or you have no chance to control the face. So go watch those. We have a bunch of them, and you need to kind of go through that first, and then you can start controlling the face.
Awesome.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy it, go ahead and give it a like. Also, if you have any questions about today's video or you have an idea of a video that you want us to shoot, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. We read every single comment. We also respond to the comments. So again, leave us a comment if you have any questions or there's anything you'd like to see. Now, if you haven't already, click the subscribe button. We have videos coming out every single week and we don't want you to miss one. So by clicking subscribe, that ensures you're notified right away when a new video comes out. And hey, if you want to add instant distance to your drive, and we all do, everybody wants more distance, go ahead and click the link in the pinned comment below. You're going to see a link. Click on it. It's going to take you to a page. You're going to enter your name and email address. We're going to send you an email where you're going to get access to instant distance, which is a video training that we put out. We know it's going to help you. We know we're going to see you farther down the fairway.